calling the regular council meeting of November the 21st to order. And I just ask everyone to stand and join us in just in a minute of reflection to think about something that may be important to us or to our families. Thank you. Thank you. I'll begin the meeting by asking Deputy Mayor Henderson if there are any additions to the agenda.
Your Worship, there are no additions to the agenda.
Okay. Are there any declarations of interest from members of council tonight? There are not any, Ms. Brace. We can proceed.
Yes, Your Worship. We have the adoption of the regular council minutes.
Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Henderson.
That council adopt the minutes, the regular council meeting held on October 31st, 2016.
Okay, seconder. Councillor Rowden. Discussion on the minutes? All in favor? Carried.
Your Worship, at this time we have a presentation by Paul Allen and Eugene Todd, co-chairs of the Cobourg 2017 Ontario 55 Plus Winter Games, presenting activities that are planned during the 55 Winter Games to be hosted in Cobourg and area.
Okay, welcome, Paul and Eugene. Certainly no strangers to Cobourg Council, or many people in Cobourg, as a matter of fact. But welcome, and who's going to start? Eugene, you or Paul?
I am, Your Worship. Thank you, Your Worship, and members of council, senior staff. And Mr. Allen and I will go back and forth on the actual presentation. And we don't have anything scripted, or we just kind of look at each other and it's your turn now. The purpose of our meeting, or our coming to council tonight, is just to give council an update on this exciting event that's going to happen February 21st to the 23rd in Cobourg. It's time to do that because things are going along very smoothly, but also things are very busy. And by the way, we'll explain these in a couple minutes. I guess the first thing I think we need to acknowledge is the fact that there are a number of partners that are involved in this, not the least of which is the presenting sponsor, which you'll see on the slide there in front of you, the Chemical, and their fine donation to the work. I think the other aspect of what these games are representing is a lot of community support, and one of the things that Paul and I are very passionate about is the Northumberland Sports Council, and the fact that they're heavily involved in the membership of that group is. In addition to Cobourg obviously being the host, the Ontario Senior Games Association is also a critical component of what's going on. They've been part of the game since their inception in 1986, and they continue to do their fine work with the support of the ministry and the Games Ontario program out of the province. So that's kind of where we're at with that. We're doing many other things, which we'll talk about in our slide presentation over the next couple of minutes.
The senior games are going to involve approximately 1,000 participants to the local community. So we're very excited to have that many people come to our community. They'll be bringing some significant others in many cases. And of course, they'll be from all over the province. There are approximately 34 or 5 districts in the province. So we'll have them ranging from north to south and east to west. And along with that comes the challenge of putting them up. And we're having to use facilities far and wide, which you'll see as we go along in this slideshow.
The general premise of the games is, as Paul just talked about, the different districts that we have. Our particular district, which incorporates the Kawarthas and Peterborough as well as Northumberland County, is District 12. And you can see by this slide, this is at the Cobourg Community Center, and the Avid, the Avid table tennis players, which they'll be well represented during the games. There are district events that each of the districts in the province will host, and the winners or the representatives of each of those districts, those will be the actual participants in the games when they arrive in February.
Another thing related to the local district is we've been working very hard with the local district to try and encourage participation at a local level. That's one of the things that has been perhaps lacking over the last few years. And so Eugene and I have been working with the district as well as our sport leads for all of our events, and they've been helping them to host some of the lead-up events to the games. So we really appreciated their help.
The critical aspect of the benefits to the games, the benefit of the games to the community is, first of all, Paul mentioned, 1,000 people plus significant others and visitors that just come because their friends are here or for whatever reason. In the middle of winter is pretty special. Not many communities get an opportunity to have an influx of that many people in their community during that period of time. And although some people sometimes use athlete in these games. I don't. I use, and Paul doesn't either. We call them participants, and they're recreational participants. They're very competitive. I'm not suggesting for a moment they're not, but this is a recreational level of activity. Along with that is the aspect that they are also very social, and the idea of them moving around the Cobourg area. And recognizing that there's a lot of things to do is another challenge that we do. They'll come by it naturally as long as we can provide those opportunities, which is another benefit to the community. And there'll be a lot of different things that'll be happening during that period of time that will introduce them to the community, perhaps to come back in the summer, perhaps to even to stay a day or two longer. We believe that's important. The other real strong benefit for me, and Paul probably has a couple of things to add, is the fact that it does mobilize volunteers. Our games organizing committee, the support of council and Councillor McCarthy, she's got her scarf on too, is we've got a great group. We got a great team. If anybody saw the parade yesterday, you could see the enthusiasm of our group. They were hopping up and down the street like everybody, and they were having a great time. And they're a very energetic and resourceful group, and if that's any indication of what the games will all be about, and they're very representative of what we want to accomplish. They're amazing people to work with, and the staff that are also assigned. They've been amazing to support Paul and I in guiding us along the way of what we want to do. Is there anything you want to add about benefits?
No, I think that's good. So we'll just quickly go through these next few slides. It'll give you an idea of the breadth of coverage of sports and where we're going to be throughout Northumberland County, not just Cobourg. So we start with Alpine Skiing, which is at Brimacombe. Badminton, CCI has graciously allowed its use of their gymnasium for the 2 days. Curling, it will be divided between the Brighton Curling Club and the Jack Keenan, where the West Northumberland Curling Club is located, and they have very graciously offered a lot of club support to help us with the games, and that's pretty amazing considering they're going to be just following up from the major curling event that we're holding 3 weeks prior to that. So the club has really stepped forward. Next we have Duplicate Bridge, which will be at the Columbus Community Center. Again, back to the CCC, there'll be prediction skating and hockey and volleyball. The prediction skating is a rather interesting event because I see a few eyebrows. What is that? I had a very interesting visit this summer to Midland to watch prediction walking. And what they did was they have to cover a 5-kilometer course, this is the walking part, in a predicted time, and they have to predict what their time is. And they have no aids of any timing device. And they do it both days. So they do it one day, they do it the second day. They take the difference in time between their prediction and their actual time, and that's how they are scored. The winner, over 2 days, was 7 seconds off their predicted time for 5K walks each day. Skating is done in the same kind of principle. Hockey will be at the Memorial Arena as well as the CCC. Nordic skiing will be at the Ganaraska Forest Center. And we have one more?
Yeah. I might just point in, the person in that picture was also on the first slide. And you may recognize him if you take his sunglasses off as being Gord Lay. So Gord's our mascot.
And finally, I think this is the last one, table tennis, which will be at the Cobourg Lions Center.
Don't forget
one more. Peterborough, 10-pin bowling. Now, you can see we've talked about Brighton, We've talked about Peterborough. We've talked about the Ganaraska Forest and Brimacombe. We'll be having people staying as far away as Trenton, Peterborough, and Bowmanville. And okay, well,
volleyball as well. Yeah. As I pointed out, the whole aspect of mobilizing a group of volunteers. This is the organizational structure that we came to in regards to how we were going to run the games. I'm not going to go through each area. Obviously, when we're done talking, if you want to ask a question about a specific area, but these are the different areas. You can see the scope of what we have to do in order to run an event this large. Which gets us to volunteers. Go ahead.
The key to any successful event, of course, is not only the participants being here, but the volunteers. And we all know what a great community this is for volunteers. We are putting out another call for volunteers. People can sign up by going to our website. To find the website, the easiest thing to do is to Google Cobourg Winter Games, and that'll get you there very easily. It's got a long handle, so I'm not going to use that one. And we have all kinds of opportunities for volunteers. If we look to the next slide, you can see it can be helping us with accommodations, with the administrative end of things, food services, everything right down to helping us scorekeep at some of the events, or minor officials calling lines and in and outs and things like that. There are a wealth of activities that we need help for. I will say that our sign-up is going well so far. We've got a number of people that have registered, but we won't turn people away. So talk it up with your friends. Give us a couple of days, the middle of February. We'd love it.
Your favorite topic, but I'll do it this time. The Scarf Project. As you can see, there's 3 of us in this room that have a blue, white, and green scarf on. Our hope is, and I'm not going to do justice to Paul, because Paul's really proud of this, as he should be. We are going to get produced 1,000 scarves, and at the opening ceremonies, the night of the opening ceremonies, we're hoping everyone who's participating in the games will be wearing a scarf. This is an outcome of a games that was hosted in Newfoundland, at which they needed, what was it, 1,500? 1,500. They ended up getting 3,000 scarves made by their community. And by all reports, that when the opening ceremonies were on, it looked pretty special with these things. I haven't made one, nor will I make one, because that would just be terrible to the scarf. But we've had a big influx in the last quite a while, in the last week for sure. We're very close to 500 scarves made out of the 1,000 that we're requiring, which is pretty exciting. We had a knit-a-thon on Saturday, and there was 100 made on Saturday of the scarves. So again, the specs are up there, and they're available on the website. And I start off most of my times when I talk to this group, or to groups like this, but I won't tonight. It's a 2 scarf minimum, so everybody in the room has to make 2. But I already tried that with Councillor Sherwin. It didn't work too well.
Just very briefly, we've gone away from traditional medals for these games. It's something that has been done occasionally in the past. We haven't had an official announcement yet, but I think you're going to be quite surprised when this is officially announced. And this is just a little teaser to show you that we have gone to a local crafts company, and since they are world-renowned, I think we're really going to be surprised to see what they have produced for us.
It should be noted that Hosselton's has also been very good at becoming a partner in the games and supporting us in a lot of other ways other than just creating the awards, although that's going to be really special, and I think you'll be very, very impressed when you actually see it. I know the participants will be.
As we mentioned in the beginning, Cameco is our presenting sponsor. We have got other sponsors for the game. We've got some at the gold, silver, and bronze level, but we're continuing to look for sponsors. So we would encourage anybody who's interested to please get a hold of us at the CCC, and we would be more than happy to show you our packages, have a conversation, see what we can do for you, and then what you can do for us.
Opening ceremonies and middle night. Opening ceremonies will be the night of February 21st. They'll be at the CCC. They will be just past the supper hour, and they will be the opening of the games with all 1,000 people, plus any spectators that are more than welcome to attend the opening ceremonies. There'll There'll be obviously the protocol that we need to do in regards to welcoming people to the community. Your worship will have a very key role in that, and I'm sure he's already got his speech written. There'll be representatives of the province, there'll be representative of the OSGA, etc. We also plan on having some entertainment, and it won't be a dull night. The participants enjoy the opening ceremonies. Secondarily, what will happen on the second night is what we're calling middle night entertainment, and that kind of refers back to my earlier comment about the social aspect of the games. And what we're hoping to do is have quite a list of things and opportunities for the participants to participate in, no matter if they're staying in Coburg or if they're staying in one of the other venues. Again, this is very critical to what the participants want. They want to play, they want to do their table tennis, they want to play volleyball, but they also want to socialize with people from other parts of the province. And we think that this is a critical component, and in some respects, arguably, it's probably one of the most important aspects of the event.
Just adding to that last slide, we haven't got things finalized yet, but what we're working and hoping to have is to make downtown Coburg a very vibrant area on the middle night. We're hoping to have all of our competitors and their friends come downtown, participate in Coburg, and just see what a wonderful community it is. Councillor McCarthy's been helping us put some plans together. We're hoping for a nice cool evening, not too bad, but the Frink will be going. We've got a group from Participaction coming to help put on an activity display, and there's a few other things we have in mind. So it should be a really good way to bring people to our downtown.
It's a good point, Paul, and the other aspect of it that probably wasn't emphasized is it's not just for the participants in the games. We want to make it an interaction between local residents, area residents, and the participants in the games. Okay. We're also, in addition to, this is a tourism development component to the games, and the fact that I talked about earlier, how the fact that that we hope that they not only recognize the vibrancy of the area and of Coburg, but they also plan on spending some time here. And so we are offering, through the staff and some of our volunteers, opportunities for people to stay, extended stay. We're providing opportunities to stay in the hotels at a reduced rate. The vendors and the accommodation people are being very cooperative. We're giving them all sorts of opportunity to continue maybe their middle night. Hopefully they participate the next day and then participate in their events. But some of the things that they learn on middle night that they would, you know what, we're going to stay around and we're going to stick around for a day or two. And this is something that that staff and the committee are working on, in addition to what we're obligated to do under the games. This is not something that has to happen. We just think it's important for the games to have the extended stay offers available to the people. Again, not only for the wintertime use, but perhaps coming back in the summer. They know Coburg when they'll leave.
And that pretty much concludes it. On the screen, you will see our contacts information. We also have an event assistant who is located at the CCC. And if anybody has any questions or they would like to get involved, they can contact the CCC and we'll be sure that it's followed up.
Thank you. That's not the medal. That's the one that was in Halliburton in 2015. But they did a unique medal. But ours is even cooler than this.
I'm sure ours will be better.
That's right. That's right. Thank you very much.
Well, we want to thank you, Eugene and Paul, for all the work that you do, not just in the 55-plus games, but every other, area of Coburg. You're completely immersed in Coburg, and we certainly appreciate that we couldn't be, the quality town that we are without the help of you, too. So very much appreciated, and I'm going to open up to members of council who may have some questions. And before I forget, just remind everyone where they can get those scarves.
Well, they can't get them. They have to make them.
Oh, you can't buy one?
No.
Well,
They're going to be
people like me. I can't make one either.
Neither can I, Your Worship. Will the night of the opening ceremonies, we will have 1,000 scarves.
Okay.
And obviously we will, and I may be stepping a little out of line, but we will make sure that every member of council has one for that opening ceremonies, that attend opening ceremonies. And certainly, Your Worship, being up on the stage with those of us that happen to be up there, we'll make sure you have one that evening.
Thank you.
If we are successful in getting over 1,000, and as we mentioned, out in Newfoundland, they were so successful, it's been suggested that we do use the extras as a fundraiser, allowing competitors, significant others to purchase them, and possibly local community.
Yeah, very good. Okay, members of council, any questions? I'll go with Councillor Darling first.
Yes, thank you, gentlemen. My work with Paul in the rec department there, and again, he's an avid volunteer, and I appreciate all the help, Paul. I'm just curious, is there, you said for the members of the community to come to the opening ceremonies, is there an admission charge or is it free?
It's free.
Okay, great to hear. Thank you.
Yes, and we will also have a special event prior to the opening ceremonies, which you'll all be invited to.
Should also point out, just relative to that question, we are producing an event guide, and in that event guide it will be distributed almost countywide, and people will know exactly what's going on and where they can go, middle night stuff, opening ceremonies, and everything else. They'll have that event guide in advance of the games.
Deputy Mayor Henderson, you had a
Thank you, Worship. Again, thank you again for most informative presentation. Well done. Only question is, I'm like you, I'm not going to knit any scarf. It would be terrible. What I want to know, if I want to make a donation, would I send it to Miss Lett so then she could buy the wool, or for someone to go forward and make that beautiful scarf?
You've got it exactly, and we've already had some people that have donated wool or money for wool.
Okay, so I guess my plea is for anybody out in the community like me who doesn't have those kind of skills, perhaps you can make a small donation, and it will allow others to have the ability to make the scarves that are so needed for that night. So that will be my encouragement, and I make sure I get something off to the CCC.
And where that will really help is the Knit-a-thon was so successful, they're planning another one. And I believe it's going to be January 14th, if that's a Saturday. And so that would be greatly appreciated.
good. Councillor McCarthy.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Paul and Eugene. I just would like to share with the public, Paul and Eugene are selfless in their service, but they also know sports, which is what you need in a committee like this, because they are organizing the volunteers that will be assisting during the events, which is a fairly special, I think, skill, and I'm glad of that. But the other thing I'd like to mention is that because this is a Town of Coburg committee, the members and town staff have been working together. It's been a huge collaboration, and now that we have a revitalized and energetic DBIA, they're very much on board to make the middle night special, which is a great thing in downtown Coburg. And the only other question I had about the wool was that another way a person can donate is to simply go buy the wool and knit it. That's another option, I believe. And I was volunteering at Streamway Villa today, a long-term care home, and there's some folks there that can't get to the store but are going to knit. And it's very simple. You could go to any store. We're just looking for medium dark blue, medium green, medium dark green, and white, whatever that turns out to be. And I would say almost every scarf will be unique, which is one of the other things that's very special about this project. So I reiterate, you can donate, or you can donate funds, or donate the wool and knit. So I'm encouraging the public to do that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Well, then I think you've covered it all, Paul and Eugene. And again, much appreciated, and we're looking forward to it as the excitement builds.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Your Worship, at this time we have a delegation by Hilda Bryan Seat and Keith Oliver, Coburg residents, regarding a proposed seniors outdoor fitness playground proposal.
Okay.
Welcome, Hilda and Keith. I think the presentation we just heard is a perfect lead-in for you when you're talking about seniors' active living.
Well, I don't know if it'll be as casual as they seem to have it. Okay, good evening, Mayor Brockiner, council members, and ladies and gentlemen. My name is Hilda Bryan Seat, and I have been a member of Coburg's community for over 45 years. I'm a retired registered nurse who worked at Streamavilla for nursing home for almost 20 years. My late husband was Sigmo Seat, teacher at East and West High School, and we have 3 proud sons to show for that. Tonight I am here with my friend Keith Oliver to ask for your support for an initiative that I believe will provide greater benefits to our community. We are requesting for a public access outdoor fitness park to be installed near Coburg's Beach Boardwalk. This community provides free access to exercise equipment for our community, primarily for our growing population of seniors. While we envision this fitness park to be open to all ages, my primary concern and passion is for the elderly. As a registered nurse with a certificate in gerontology from Ryerson University, I know firsthand the consequences due to lack of physical activity and its detrimental effects to our seniors who do not have the opportunity to get enough daily exercise. Their length of life, as well as the quality of life, is severely diminished when regular physical fitness is not a part of their routine. I get used to this. At this present time in our history, we are now dealing with the largest population of elderly people ever. They can continue to contribute meaningfully to our community and their well-being by staying active and healthier longer. We, as a community here in Coburg, can help our seniors to remain active by providing a place to keep fit and have fun while socially and physically interacting. An outdoor fitness park would contribute positively to the physical, mental, and spiritual well-being of the whole community. It is for these reasons why we and the 900 plus signers of this petition are seeking your support for our proposal for a beautiful, well-designed outdoor fitness park / playground for seniors in our community of Coburg. A fitness playground installation with its proximity to the beach area, boardwalk, and across the waterfront would enhance the quality of the whole experience. Fresh air exercise is an aesthetically beautiful environment, has been proven beneficial to good health. As a feel-good town of Coburg, we can pride ourselves for providing access to a healthier lifestyle by making available outdoor exercise equipment that will bring so many positive benefits to our community. Thank you for your time and consideration.
My name is Keith Oliver, 327 Walton Street in Coburg. I've had a look at some of the planning that eventually will lead to the development of our parks and recreation system. In particular, there's the recreation strategy and implementation plan that is under development right now. The first draft has been commented on. The planners are going back now, Pierre Chauvin at MHBC, for example, and we'll be seeing the second and probably final draft within a month or two. Another opportunity will present itself for public comment, and members of the public that are interested in the development of this kind of plan should definitely come to those meetings. Just watch the town website. As I've read the recreation strategy and also looked at the seniors action plan, I see a great deal of emphasis on sport, whether it be pickleball or badminton or other active sports like that. And also in the seniors action plan, there's quite a bit of reference to the Canadian Sports for Life program. All of these are admirable, but I'm not included. I am going on 80 years old. I played college level hockey. I canoed for 40 years, I ran, I skated. But around 55, things began to change. I now have arthritis in both shoulders, the bottom part of my spine. My left knee is no good anymore. I cannot lawn bowl. What I do need as a senior, and I would like to see more emphasis in these plans as they develop, I need exercise. Hilda has pointed out this concept of an outdoor fitness park. They're being done all over the world. In the course of gathering the signatures on this petition that Hilda referred to, we've heard about them in Spain. The national healthcare system in England is promoting them. We actually have examples in some of the material that I handed out about such a park in Southampton. Whitby has an extensive park down by the waterfront. Oshawa has a park at its or has a fitness component to its heritage park in central Oshawa. We have yet to go and see those, but we've been told about this as we've gathered the signatures. So the question is that fitness itself and how to achieve that, especially in the older segment of the population, should be a very serious component of sports and recreation, because after all, if you read the two documents, it really goes to improving and enhancing public health, public fitness. I mean, that is the end goal, as well as developing sports for different age levels. And so my quality of life depends on exercise. And the whole notion of having a fitness park, the location would be determined as public meetings progress and that sort of thing. But an ideal location, in our estimation, just having a quick look at things, would be here in Victoria Park, perhaps down by the children's playground. There might be an area right next to that that's been prepared so groups can do Tai Chi, can do yoga, Zumba dancing. I mean, it's wonderful to do all this kind of exercise outside. And of course, little children will see the adults exercising, and who knows where that might lead. But it's people walk along the boardwalk. Some of them use the railings at the yacht basin to exercise. You can stand there, and as you move further and further away from the railing, you can do these graduated push-ups that just increase the challenge as you adjust your position, that sort of thing. So it seems to be a facility that has a great deal of potential to benefit all parts of all forms of population. When it comes to seniors, there's a question of accessibility. We have probably the highest demographic in senior citizens in any small town in Ontario. And many of those are located in the downtown area. And I was just thinking today of some of the older families that live down here, perhaps in some of the smaller cottages and so on that you see on both the east and west side of the downtown. There are lots of seniors in there. You don't see them that often, but they're there, and there's a number of seniors in that type of housing around the Heritage Center, where I spend a lot of time, and we've got to know our neighbors. So the whole notion of exercise, in addition to sport, in addition to active recreation, we believe should be incorporated into the plan, and we'll see what happens. The next phase in developing our park system is implementation plan for the waterfront, and the RFP is getting ready to go out on that one to find the right consultant. And when that happens, Waterfront will look at parks, and the parks, hopefully, or at least certain elements of them, will be integrated into the waterfront plan. So the potential is there. What I must say, in gathering the petition, over 95%, and without exaggeration, over 95% of the people that hear about this center, about the fact that we're looking at a type of implementation for sports and recreation, are extremely enthusiastic and signed. And what's really interesting is a number of them said, this is just like Coburg, to do something like this. So it's been very encouraging. I've sent the material that you have in your agendas. That's gone on to Pierre Chauvin, the planner in charge of the Recreation Strategy Plan. I've sent actually more material than what you have. And so we look forward to seeing that become part of the ongoing development now, parks, recreation, and waterfront. I think that's it. You have more information in the documents that you have in your agenda, but I think that's enough said. By the way, we do have a website, and we'll keep updating that all the time. It'll inform the public of when meetings are coming up where they can have their say, and it's coburgfitnesspark.org. And you have that in the material in your agenda.
No, thank you very much, Keith and Hilda. As you know, I think that Coburg's definitely known as a an active living town. We want people to be participating in active lifestyles, and what you proposed here is certainly a little bit different slant on it, and but it could be beneficial to all. Before I open up to members of council, Keith, could you give us arrange to have a copy of your petition left with the town clerk, maybe tomorrow or later this week?
One of the things that's going is my hearing. So could you repeat the question, please?
Okay, so what I would like you to do is get a copy of the petition to our municipal clerk. Okay.
Yes, we'll do that. We're still collecting signatures because it's a great opportunity just to talk with the public. And, I mean, we've got a lot of signatures, no question. But, yes, definitly.
Well, maybe Hilda, I know you heard me. So,
yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
There are approximately 954 signed signatures from Coburg and surrounding area residents.
Very good.
And they're here if you want to see them, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Hilda. So, again,
All right.
I think it's creative thinking and certainly fits in with our philosophy of active living. I'm going to open up to members of council who may have some questions of clarity. First, Councillor Rowden, then Deputy Mayor Henderson.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thanks for the presentation there, Keith and Hilda. It's very enthusiastic. Everybody that gets to a certain age has to stay fit, and I know I'm one of them. When you mentioned the whereabouts of having this, are you going to take a proposal to the Recreation Club? I think there's a recommendation coming tonight to the Recreation Club in regards to where it would go. I know that you mentioned the Victoria Park, but there's likely other locations, and I was just thinking below the Legion at the West Beach is likely as nice a spot as any where the horticultural is. There's likely more room there for activities, but just a thought anyway when you go to do your presentation with them.
That sounds great. We don't have to stop at one installation either.
I think all of that, I look forward to an interesting public debate on this during the public input opportunities as the planning process goes forward. There's all kinds of possibilities. I think it's exciting.
Deputy Mayor Henderson.
Thank you, Worship, and thank you both again for a most informative presentation. I do believe your concept fits into our waterfront implementation plan as perhaps as well in enhancing our Blue Flag program. Through you, I guess I just want to give an encouragement to Ms. Bain and our Director of Parks and Culture. I did preview, based on your submission, Sackville playground that was put in for adults, and again for members of council. I found it most informative, and thank you for recommending that. And the one I'd like to pass on to our staff, as I did that, I went back and previewed Rick Hansen's accessibility playground format, which runs about 50 plus pages, which gives an inclusive from beginning to end in all its parts. So I guess my encouragement to staff, as you perhaps look at this going together, I would like to see personally a combination of these two, because when you read both, you can see a lot of similarities between both programs. So just a recommendation or suggestion to staff But again, thank you. I believe you hit the nail on the head, because this is a segment of the senior population that I believe, with everybody's best efforts, are not covered. And I think, again, you elated to that, your presentation, that you don't fit that group that we're promoting. So on that basis, thank you again for a good presentation.
Okay, any other questions? Councillor McCarthy?
Thank you, Worship. Thank you. Thank you for going and getting those petitions, engaging the senior segment about this. This is an incredibly important initiative, and you're leading the way on this. So I guess I'm going to assume that whatever the Parks, Recreation and Culture Department comes up with, it will fly by the Accessibility Committee, because they will be very interested in that. Now, this is the year for targeting design of public spaces. So we know if this would be developed, that would be factored in. But it's often a really good idea to also understand, for folks with impairments, visual, hearing, whatever, how we can have an inclusive experience for them too. And well, accessibility goes without saying. So I'm very excited. I also think, quite frankly, there'll be quite a bit of funding for something like this, because the key is to keep people moving and active. That's the key to quality of life and longevity. So thank you, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions while Hilda and Keith are here? Then again, Hilda and Keith, thank you very much. I really appreciate your coming forward and making a suggestion which would make, again, hopefully will make Coburg an even better place for the many seniors.
Thank you.
Your Worship, we do have a delegation action from Councillor Darling.
Councillor Darling?
Thank you, Your Worship, Ms. Brace. First of all, I'd like to comment to Ms. Seat. I did have Mr. Singh Seat as a teacher in high school. A very fine gentleman and one of my favorite teachers, and I think the young man beside her, if I'm not mistaken, is his son, because he's quite an image of his father. And welcome you both. Yes, Mr. Oliver did come to Parks and Rec last week with this, but we will refer it back to Parks and Rec Advisory Committee for a review during the Waterfront Implementation Plan process, and it will be looked into with positive comments and remarks, I'm sure.
Did you make a motion? Okay. Okay, then I need a seconder. And the seconder is Councillor Burkett. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried.
Your Worship, we now have the Committee of the Whole meeting notes.
Deputy Mayor Henderson?
The action recommended the Council receive the notes of the Committee of the Whole meeting held on November the 14th, 2016 for information purposes.
Okay, seconder. Councillor Sherwin, all in favor? Carried.
Your Worship, under Public Works Services, we have a revised memo from the Bylaw Enforcement Policy Coordinator regarding a bylaw to amend Bylaw 080-2014, being a bylaw to regulate the parking of motor vehicles to include additional no parking anytime restrictions along Alexandria Drive, Boggs Road, Ball Street, and Kerr Street in Coburg.
Okay, Councillor Rowden?
Yes, Your Worship. In the action recommended that we receive the report for information, and if Council remembers last week we deferred a motion in regards to the bylaw to come forward this week, and we do have a motion to come forward for that. And we met on site with the fire department on Ball Street, and Mr. Tate was there, and he was quite satisfied if we just reduced the 3 sites and left 4. And that way the no parking signs could go up and accommodate the big trucks there.
Okay, so I'm looking for a seconder to receive the report for information. Councillor McCarthy. Discussion? All in favor? Carried.
Your Worship, we have a memo from the Bylaw Enforcement Policy Coordinator regarding a letter from the Coburg Downtown Business Improvement Area Board requesting implementation of a holiday grace period of 1 hour on vehicles parked at expired meters and parking lots within downtown Coburg through the month of December 2016.
Okay, Councillor Rowden again.
Yes, Your Worship. An action recommended that we receive this report for information, and there's a motion coming forward later on. This is something we've done in the past, but I think we left it till the first week in February, or December before and kind of got a little bit behind time. So we pushed ahead this year so the public can know ahead of time that we are giving them an extra hour of parking downtown for free.
Certainly, and as you said, the motion is coming up later. We'll discuss it then. Seconder on receiving, Councillor Sherwin. Any discussion on receiving the report? All in favor? Carried.
Your Worship, under Community Services, we have a memo from the Chief Administrative Officer regarding the award of the request for proposal for engineering and landscape architectural services, Phase 4, Victoria Square.
Okay, Councillor McCarthy.
The recommendation is that Council at this time award the Victoria Square Phase 4 engineering and
No,
sorry, that's right. Yeah, it was.
We're just receiving the report for information. You're a little ahead of us on the agenda, Councillor McCarthy.
I thought I was not in the right place, so thank you. Action recommended that Council receive the report for information purposes.
Okay, seconder, Councillor Sherwin. Discussion on receiving for information. All in favor? Carried.
Your Worship, under Planning and Development Services, we have a letter of resignation from Timothy Lawley, Planning and Sustainability Advisory Committee member.
Councillor Burkett.
The action recommended that Council receive the letter of resignation with regret.
Seconder, Councillor Sherwin. I'm sorry, Councillor Darling. All in favor? Carried.
Your Worship, we now have the motions.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Henderson.
Thank you, Worship. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Rowden. Whereas the Committee of the Whole has considered a memo from the Treasurer, Director of Corporate Services regarding the tender for building envelope repairs for work on the 2nd Street Fire Hall, CO 1612. Now therefore be it resolved that Council elect not to award the contract for the building envelope repairs, 2nd Street Fire Hall, CO 1612, as a result of both bids being in excess of the budgeted amount for this project, and further that the project be referred to the 2017 capital budget for consideration. And again, I believe the motion is quite clear.
Okay, moved, and it was seconded by who? I missed that.
Councillor Rowden.
Okay. Any further discussion on this? All in favor? Carried. Okay, Councillor Darling, you have a motion?
I do, sir. I have a motion from the Committee of the Whole regarding the interim facilities utilization reports, including approval of the Coburg Community Center canteen expansion and renovation project. The motion itself, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Sherwin. Whereas the Committee of the Whole has considered memos from the Manager of Parks, the Director of Recreation and Culture, and the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee Secretary regarding interim facilities utilization report and updates to include canteen renovations at the Coburg Community Center. Now therefore be it resolved that Council accept the interim facilities utilization report, and further that staff report back to Council by the end of 2017 with a full utilization report and recommendations on all three facilities, and further that Council authorize the construction of the Coburg Community Center canteen renovation project as outlined in option 3 of the original staff report dated October 24, 2016 for capital improvements to the Coburg Community Center's cafe designed to improve overall food and beverage services at the facility. And further that these funds be allocated from the Northern Park Reserve in the amount of $180,984 plus a contingency allowance of 5% if required, based on the update report presented at the November 14th, 2016 Committee of the Whole meeting.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion? Well, I always have to make a comment when we have a good news story like this. Because it's not often in the municipal world that we get these payback projects such as this. And the canteen right now is netting $50,000 a year with one point of sale and a limited variety of food. And so this expansion will give us 2 points of sale for all the busy times. And also, with a wider selection of food available, we're going to generate even more revenue. So this is a project that will actually pay for itself over a few years' time and then become part of a revenue source on an annual basis for the CCC. And I just think that's so important to make sure people understand what this project is going to do for us. I also want to make sure people, because I've had questions about this I'm at the CCC a lot with my grandchildren, that we're not eliminating the sports service and retail shop, that we're just going to relocate it. So that service will still be available to everyone at the CCC. Any other discussion? Councillor Rowden.
Yes, Your Worship, and there was some concern in regards to competing with the Lions Centre, and I don't believe that this is competition to the Lions Centre or any other place. The service is going to be actually extended at the CC Centre for people that have been asking for this. It's altogether different from what the Lions Club do.
Well, I would agree that we're not putting in a commercial kitchen like they have at the Lions Centre, so this is completely different. Any other discussion? All in favor? And the motion is carried.
Your Worship, I have a second motion here from the Committee of the Whole regarding the 2017 Ontario Men's Women's Curling Championship grant request. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Burkett. Whereas the Committee of the Whole has considered a memo from the Director of Recreation and Culture regarding the 2017 Ontario Men's and Women's Curling Championship grant request. And whereas Council endorsed the West Northumberland Curling Club's hosting of the 2017 Men's and Women's Ontario Curling Championships, now therefore be it resolved that Council authorize the Recreation and Culture Division to contribute $10,000 towards marketing and advertising expenses for the championships from the 2017 Cobourg Community Centre special event budget.
Okay. Moved and seconded. Discussion? All in favor? It's carried. Councillor Rowden, we have a motion.
Yes, Your Worship. I have two motions tonight. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Burkett. Whereas the Committee of the Whole has considered an update memo from the Bylaw Enforcement Policy Coordinator dated November the 17th, 2016, regarding a bylaw to amend bylaw parking, bylaw number 080-2014, being a bylaw to regulate the parking of motor vehicles. Now, therefore, it be resolved that Council authorize preparation of a bylaw to amend bylaw number 080-2014, being a bylaw to regulate the parking of motor vehicles in the town of Cobourg, in order to amend Schedule B, no parking anytime, to include parking restrictions on Alexandria Drive, Boggs Road, Ball Street as revised, and Kerr Street, Cobourg, attached to the report as Appendix A. And Your Worship, we did discuss earlier that we did meet on Ball Street last week because we had a delegation, and I think we got that solved.
Okay. Maybe, Councillor Rowden, you could just explain to people where Boggs Road is, because I'm sure there are a lot of people who don't know where Boggs Road is.
I think I'm going to have to ask the Director of Public Works, because
it actually runs from Elgin Street south into the Northern Industrial Park.
Exactly. Yeah, now I know where it is. It was just repaved.
It's not far from the fire station.
No.
Deputy Mayor Henderson, and Councillor Darling.
Through Your Worship, either to the Chair, Councillor Rowden, or Director, I know the amended change was accepted by the citizens. Perhaps you could just reiterate, both for Council and for the community, what those changes were?
Yes, Your Worship. The changes there were that the length of proposed no parking was reduced by approximately 50% as a result of the discussions at the meeting the day following the delegation presentation.
Okay. Councillor Darling?
Yes, thank you, Worship. Yes, I wanted to comment on that. I think that was a perfect example of how a problem comes to Council. A report is recommended to alleviate the problem, and then the citizens come to Council with their concerns. Council listened to what the citizens had to say. They met with a delegation with all parties involved and come up with a a compromise which was a very common sense approach to the problem. And I think it shows that when the public does get involved and work with council, we can come up with some real good recommendations. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Darling. And of course, that's one of the reasons we structure our meetings the way we do, so that we have a committee of the whole, and then there's another week where we can, I guess, have sober second thoughts, to coin a phrase from the Senate. Any other comments, Councillor Rowden?
Yes, Your Worship, and I think that you are involved in it. Ball Street there, they called you in regards to the fuel truck getting in there, and the town department, the Public Works, did put up temporary no parking signs to allow that to happen. But it got neighbors up, their backs up, and of course there is limited parking on Ball Street, which I sympathize with them, but some of the things that happened 100 years ago, we can't rectify it today.
That's right. And so I did, for 2 years, I think 3 years in a row, we came up with a temporary solution, and I'm glad to see that our bylaw manager coordinator has come up with a permanent solution to the problem we have.
And a piece of history that came out in that meeting that we had on Ball Street, the lane that we're talking with, that the gentleman that lives down that lane, apparently that was a path at one time, a laneway for cattle to be taken from the pasture fields on the west side of Ball Street, where was the end of town years ago, down to the east end of Coburg for slaughter.
That's really going back.
So that was a piece of history we learned.
I never saw a cattle crossing sign there, so that must have been a long time ago. Any other discussion? All in favor? It's carried. You have another motion?
Yeah, and Your Worship, the second one is moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Burkett. Whereas Council at the regular Council meeting has considered a memo from the Bylaw Enforcement Policy Coordinator regarding a letter from the Coburg Downtown Business Improvement Area Board requesting implementation of a holiday grace period of 1 hour on expired vehicles in the metered parking area and parking lots within downtown Coburg through the month of December 2016. Now therefore it be resolved that Council grant the request from the Coburg Downtown Business Improvement Area Management Board, DBIA, and implement a holiday grace period by offering a 1 hour free parking extension on vehicles that are parked at expired downtown meters and 1 extra free parking at the Town of Coburg parking lots for the entire month of December 2016. And this is something we've done in the past, and I think it's great that people can participate in spending money downtown, so to give them an opportunity.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Councillor Rowden. It's a really good alternative. It's a little bit of ambassadorship on our part, not to penalize people for coming downtown if the meter expires, before they get back to the car. And it's far better than the policy that we used several years ago, where we eliminated paid parking and allowed people to park for any length of time in downtown Coburg, because there was an awful lot of abuse of that program, and so now I think this is a great alternative. Councillor McCarthy.
Thank you, Worship, and I'd just like to share with Council and the public that the Coburg DBIA actually prints the cards, thanking them for shopping downtown, but the bylaw enforcement officers are the ones who slip it on the windshield, so it is a real partnership. And the hour allows for good management by the bylaw officers to route themselves around and keep track, so it's a win-win. Thank you.
Okay. All in favor of the motion? It's carried. Councillor McCarthy.
Thank you, Your Worship. So you've received a report on the RFP for engineering and landscape architectural services. There is a recommendation, but I'm going to ask the town clerk, is this actually a motion that I'm making? Okay, so I don't have a seconder, so I will put the motion on the floor and someone will hopefully support it.
We'll find a seconder for you.
Oh, thank you. And the motion is that Council at this time award the Victoria Square Phase 4 Engineering and Landscape Architectural Services Part 1 work to SEMA Plus in the amount of $52,204.56 plus applicable taxes to be funded from the 2017 pre-engineering budget. And further, Council award Part 2 and 3 work to SEMA Plus in the amount of $9,669.01 and $42,799.51, respectively, with associated taxes, conditional on receipt of provincial and federal project grants and approval by Council in the 2017 capital budget. Seconder.
Okay, can I have a seconder? Deputy Mayor Henderson. Any discussion on this? Councillor McCarthy.
Yes, I'd like to ask the CAO, Stephen Peacock, to speak to the RFP for the benefit of Council and the public.
Yes, thank you, through your worship. The RFP was placed out on our website and also advertised, and we received two complete submissions. We evaluated them. Both submissions were the work could be done by both companies. There is some detail in the report with regards to the different services that were offered, and based on price, the low bid is the one that we're recommending to Council.
And I think it's also important, Councillor McCarthy, to mention that this report came in front of the Victoria Square Advisory Committee, and that committee is comprised of members from every advisory committee in the town of Cobourg, as well as staff, and they endorsed this. They endorsed approval of SEMA as the award winner. Any other discussion? All in favor? Carried.
Your worship, we now have the reading of the bylaws.
Okay. Deputy Mayor Henderson.
Your worship and members of council, we have 4 bylaws for presentation, namely a bylaw to amend bylaw number 80-2014, being a bylaw to regulate the parking of motor vehicles in the town of Cobourg to include additional no parking anytime restrictions, to include portions of road allowance along Alexandria Drive, Boggs Road, Ball Street, I guess with amendment, and Kerr Street, Cobourg. A bylaw to appoint fire department personnel as provincial offenses officer for the corporation of the town of Cobourg. A bylaw to authorize amending bylaw number 14-2014, being a bylaw to license, regulate, and govern taxi owners and operators in the town of Cobourg. A bylaw to authorize the mayor and municipal clerk to execute an amending development agreement with Northumberland Standard Condominium Corporation number 58, Lakefront Utility Service Inc., and the Corporation Town of Cobourg, 148 3rd Street, Cobourg. And I move that first reading be given these bylaws.
Seconder. Councillor Sherwin. All in favor? Carried.
Your worship, I move that council go into the committee of the whole for the second reading of these bylaws.
Seconder. Councillor Burkett. All in favor? Carried. Councillor Rowden for second reading.
Yes, Your Worship. I give second reading to the bylaw to amend bylaw number 80-2014, being a bylaw to regulate the parking of motor vehicles in the town of Cobourg, to include additional no parking anytime restrictions, to include portions of the road allowance along Alexander Drive, Boggs Road, Ball Street as amended, and Kerr Street, Cobourg. And I give a second reading.
Okay, any discussion on the second reading? All in favor? Carried. Councillor Sherwin.
Thank you, Your Worship. This is a bylaw to appoint fire department personnel as provincial offences officers for the corporation of the town of Cobourg. I move for second reading, and then basically this is the same thing we do for our bylaw officers. We just update the list.
And I do believe there's one new firefighter in the bylaws.
There is one new firefighter at the end.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion on the second reading? All in favor? Carried.
Your Worship, this is a bylaw to authorize amending bylaw number 14-2014, being a bylaw to license, regulate, and govern taxi owners and operators in the town of Cobourg. And as I stated last week, we had a great meeting with them. We listened to their concerns. This is what you see in front of you.
Okay. Discussion on the second reading. All in favor? Carried. And Councillor Burkett, second reading.
A bylaw to authorize the mayor and municipal clerk to execute an amending development agreement with the Northumberland Standard Condominium Corporation, number 58, Lakefront Utilities Services, Inc., and the Corporation of the Town of Coburg, 148 3rd Street, Coburg. I move this for second reading.
And Councillor Burkett, this is just about a landscaping plan for the condos, is it?
Yeah, that's correct. The interior landscaping.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion on the second reading? All in favor? Carried.
The committee rise.
Yep. All in favor? Carried.
Your Worship, the bylaws, a bylaw to amend bylaw number 80/2014, being a bylaw to regulate the parking of motor vehicles in the town of Coburg, to include additional no parking anytime restrictions, to include portions of road allowance along Alexandria Drive, Boggs Road, Ball Street as amended, and Kerr Street, Coburg. A bylaw to appoint fire department personnel as provincial offenses officers for the Corporation of Town of Coburg. A bylaw to authorize amending bylaw number 14-2014, being a bylaw to amend to license, regulate, and govern taxi owners and operators in the town of Coburg. A bylaw to authorize the mayor and municipal clerk to execute an amending development agreement with Northumberland Standard Condominium Corporation number 58, Lakefront Utility Services, Inc., and the Corporation of the Town of Coburg, 148 3rd Street, Coburg, have received first and second readings without amendment, and of course with the one clarification for Ball Street. And I move third reading be given these bylaws and that be finally passed and ordered signed by the mayor and municipal clerk with the corporate seal affixed.
Okay. Seconder, Councillor Burkett. All in favor? Carried.
Your Worship, under correspondence, we have a letter from the Northumberland Hills Hospital, the Living Room Program, drop-in participants dated November 8, 2016, requesting an extension to the annual market building lease agreement at the 2016 rental facility rate, and this is for the mental health program.
Okay. Deputy Mayor Henderson.
The act recommended that council refer the matter to staff for a report.
Okay. Seconder, Councillor Darling. Discussion? All in favor? Carried.
Your Worship, we now have the coordinator reports.
Okay. I don't have much to report on economic development other than our economic development officer continues to work with a local business in helping them relocate, and was also fielding 2 new inquiries last week for potential new businesses coming to Coburg. But I do have an announcement on our Rapid Notify system, and that is on Friday, November 25th, 2016, at 10 a.m., the town of Coburg will be sending out a test message using Rapid Notify emergency notification system. So in the event of an emergency within the town of Coburg, the Rapid notification system will be used to warn citizens of possible hazards that could affect their health or their safety. The test message will be delivered to all individuals' phones, cell or home phone, who have signed up for this emergency notification system and provided the contact number they would like to be reached at in case of such an emergency. If you have not signed up for Rapid Notify, there is still time. Visit our municipal website, coburg.ca, to register. Those without internet access can fill out a form at the Coburg Fire Department to be registered. But again, please note that the test message that will be distributed on Friday, November 25th at 10 a.m. will just be a test of the system. Any other questions, please contact the Communications Department at 905-372-4301. And that's the end of my report. Deputy Mayor Henderson.
Thank you, Worship. My report's very brief, just 2 parts. We have a public engagement policy and guideline. We're asking council if they have any suggestions, if you could respond to me by Wednesday night, and then I'll collate the comments for the clerk. And for members of the public, we're asking if you could send your comments directly to the clerk at lbrace, B-R-A-C-E, at coburg.ca. And then in that manner, staff can look at the recommendations to see what amendments, if any, may be recommended to council before this policy and guideline are approved by council. And for public's information, this is our very first, I believe, public engagement policy and guideline. Secondly, coming up, we have the development charges background study. There will be an open public meeting held here in council chambers on December the 12th, starting at 6 p.m. This document will be a very important document for those in the community. It is 100+ pages in length, but I'm sure there are sections that will pertain to you specifically. So if this is of interest, again, I encourage you to make contact with our clerk if you wish to present at that open public meeting. And Your Worship, that's my report.
Councillor Darling.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just like to let everybody know that as a board member of the GRCA, I took part in a tour yesterday morning of the western portion of the conservation area. A number of board members and staff visited and discussed some concerned areas. And also I will be attending a public meeting at the GRCA office Tuesday, November 22nd between 4 and 8 p.m. if anyone wishes to attend that. I'd like to thank the park staff for the lovely poinsettias adorning our chamber tonight, and the fact that the Victoria Hall foyer has been adorned with them as well. They're, as Miss Brace commented, probably the nicest one she's ever seen, so they are very lovely. And as people haven't noticed, park staff has been very busy with Christmas magic and getting all the equipment ready for snow removal. And just a reminder that Light the Park is this Friday night and starts in front of Victoria Hall. And also, again, everybody's aware of the fact, but we're going to keep pushing them, the reminders for the men's curling tankard Scotty's Tournament of Hearts, and the tickets for January 29th to February 5th, with tickets now on sale. I've been informed that they are moving along. The presentation we had tonight, the over 55 games, everybody's well aware of that. And the RBC Cup, May 13th through 21st, 2017. And tickets are now on sale with that online. And if I could just confirm with Ms. Bain, they're also at the CCC, the tickets for the RBC Cup. Yes, I thought they were. Thank you. And just next summer, we got a heads up that the Canadian National Fastball Under 16 event will be held at Legion Fields in the summer of 2017. That's a huge event for us as well. And that's my report at this time.
Thank you. Councillor Dunn. Councillor Rowden.
Thank you, Your Worship. And my report's not too long tonight, but as the public has been aware, that the Division Street has been under construction for a month or so, and project is nearing completion. There's only a small portion of remaining work, including the concrete sidewalks and the paving and line painting, and I'd like to thank the merchants and the public for their patience for the last while. Work is proceeding on the new headworks project at wastewater plant number 1, and the building is 99% complete. We're just waiting for connections and hooking up switching over the sewage plant itself at a little later date. Christmas lights were installed last week in the downtown area, and I think if anybody noticed tonight, they're really beautiful. When you drive around the corner up at William Street, you notice there's beautiful scenery all the way down through, and I think got to thank not only Parks but Public Works, and I think Lakefront Utilities were involved in a lot of this work, so thank them for their work. And I believe the Christmas Magic is underway. They're still getting ready for it for another week, so that's a good sign. Work is also nearing completion on building number 7, and the new salt shed has been constructed, and paving of the yard is scheduled for next week. So I know Public Works is getting anxious to get moved in over there before the rough winter weather comes, and I think that they're very patient. They've done a very good job at coordinating it and making sure that there's no glitches in what's happening. So maybe I should thank the director for all his hard work taking over this summer at a busy time and going ahead with this. Mr. Darling mentioned the Ganaraska tour yesterday. Him and I were involved in, and again, this is just for council and the public's information. It's an update that we have to do a forest study every 5 to 10 years because the Ganaraska Conservation Authority own approximately 12,000 acres, and we do foresting in it. There is a certain amount of revenue from that helps to offset some of our levy costs. It was an eye-opener, I believe, for Mr. Darling, because I don't think he'd realized that the place was that big. And of course, I lived out there for years, so I knew how large the reforestation was. So, anyways, we had a great day, and the weather was kind of cool, but we saw things that we hadn't saw for quite some time in that area of the woods. So that's my report.
Thank you, Councillor Rowden. Councillor McCarthy.
Well, it's Christmas time, and so there's lots going on. Just a note to the public, there was a press release sent out, but Murdoch Mystery is filming in town right now, and in Port Hope as well. So when you see the trucks and the equipment, that's what's going on. And Councillor Rowden is correct. Christmas Magic is this Friday, and it starts at roughly 6:30, but all afternoon there will be music in downtown Coburg, and then we light up Victoria Hall, and we walk together down to the marina, and we light up the tree, and the mayor will be doing the countdown. This is an event that families love. The Coburg DBIA this year is actually going to have their stores open and hope to welcome the public. This is a Christmas shopping event as well. After the lighting, there's an opportunity for decorating or judging gingerbread. Anyways, there's more for kids to do downtown. I don't want to steal the mayor's thunder, but I just want to remind folks that the Business Achievement Awards forms are available, and that deadline's January 4th, and the celebratory dinner's February 24th, 2017. And the Coburg Civic Award brochures are out, and that deadline is February 17th. Many of our volunteers in the town are often considered for this because of the extra dedication they do for us, so this is the time. The Art Gallery of Northumberland, a special event is on right now, and it's the Northumberland Went to War exhibition. It opened November 3rd. It is a shorter period. It ends December 4th, and it is quite wonderful. I keep hearing from people they are amazed at not only the local memorabilia and stories that are here, but there is art as well. There's sketches and crafts and all sorts of things. What perhaps isn't as well known about this exhibition is that the county, what became a sponsor, Northumberland County, because there are satellite exhibits throughout Northumberland County, and those are in Alderville First Nation, and in Bewdley, Brighton, Colborne, and Grafton, Port Hope, and several places in Port Hope, actually. So there is also extra programming this Wednesday, November 23rd. There will be a presentation at 2 p.m. by Cher Latouze, a Bowmanville historian, on World War I nursing sisters, the places they worked and the conditions under which they worked, which is a very compelling story. And the following Wednesday, November 30th at 2 p.m., there's a presentation by Dan Buchanan, known as Brighton's history guy, and it's called Dancing in the Air, and it's about the Royal Flying Corps in Canada. The exhibit ends December 4th, and then a few days are taken to set up the juried art show, which is always very, very popular locally. And last year, I'll remind people that one of the jurors was Ron Bolt, who lives in our community and internationally recognized artist. And he had a very tough task with two others to settle on those that were won awards. And he was astonished at the depth and breadth and talent in this area. So it's always worth seeing. The Accessibility Advisory Committee, I want to remind the public there is a vacancy, and there will most likely be another vacancy because this will be the last month of our current chair, Audrey Armour. She's retiring from the committee. And Audrey was very special to the Accessibility Advisory Committee because she's a retired professor from Ryerson with us, and specializes in urban design and design of public spaces. So, but I'm sure we'll still use her in some way. The Cobourg Public Library is having a very special event with the author Peter Newman. He's coming December 4th, Sunday, December 4th, and he is reading and signing his new book called Hostages to Fortune, and it's a book about the Loyalists and their relation to prospering in Canada. Now, the library does have a Canada 150 project. If anybody likes adult coloring, they want 150 pages, and those you can actually go on the website and download some designs, or you can go to the library, and of course they want those by January 1st if you're interested. I need to remind you of the SCARF project, but what I want to tell you is that the instructions are on the very first page of the website. So if you go Cobourg, Ontario Winter Games, the very front page, you'll see the SCARF project, which describes the wool and the length and the particulars. And, believe it or not, there is already a call for vendors for the Cobourg Waterfront Festival. They're anticipating it's going to be a very major festival with Canada 150. So anybody who's interested, they're going to have to get their applications in. And finally, Victoria Square Phase 4. Name the square. And you can, there's a Survey Monkey. You can go on the web page. You can email the town or give your ideas to Petra Hartwig. But if you will go to the town site or the town website and find out what the names are, you can vote. And the deadline for that is December 15th, and we'll announce later. And that's my report.
Thank you, Councillor McCarthy. Councillor Sherwood.
Thank you, Worship. And just a small couple items. A couple of weeks ago, I commented on how quick our fire department gets out and helps in the community. This week, I'd like to comment on how our police officers are doing similar things. A young lady had been at the food bank doing a survey event, and two of our young recruits were there to participate. Her mother had commented that she came away from this event working with the police officers on such a high that it was hard to control her when she got home. She was just so positive about their input and how they'd interacted with the community. And lastly, I think this is a first for me, but a person attended the front counter at the police station to pay a ticket. And her comments were so positive and upbeat about how friendly and courteous the officer had been. It was almost a pleasure to get the ticket. And that's my report.
Thank you, Councillor Sherwin. Councillor Burkett.
Really only one item, just an update on the spruce wood home handmade cookie. So we received all their submissions. Staff looked over it. We had some stuff going back, mainly from the GRCA, and so they did a test and came back where they had to resubmit and some engineer drawings. So they've had that, so it should be ready to go once everything's signed and finalized. Okay, and that's my report.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Burkett. That takes us to the Ms. Brace.
Your Worship, we have a closed session this evening, and there will be a motion coming out of the session.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Henderson.
The action recommended that council meet in closed session in accordance with Section 239 of the Municipal Act SO 2001 regarding personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, with regard the Heritage Advisory Committee application. And just for the agenda, the other item was removed at this point in time.
Okay, seconder, Councillor Sherwin. All in favor? Carried. Motion to adjourn. Councillor. Oh, we're going to come back out? Okay. Okay, we'll recess and come back.